It is Monday, the 18th of August, 2025. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. Thank you for joining me on Mr. Weatherman Europe for full coverage of this and where this goes in the short term. This is Hurricane Erin. I'll put a link to that in the comments. This will eventually end up near Europe as this spins all the way around. I want to show you why and the rough timing of this and what we could expect down the road for some of the winds depending on where this goes. But a powerful hurricane. The Atlantic basin has been getting more active, more tropical waves to watch as well coming off the coast of Africa. Here's Hurricane Erin. Some impacts right now for the Turks and Caicos and southeastern Bahamas. A powerful system. It is making its curve. These are the ones we watch out for across Europe, the ones that make the curve around an area of high pressure. I'll show you the steering on this in just a moment. But over the next couple of days, making that turn, getting closer to Bermuda and North Carolina, it should be right in between, and then lifting up off the coast of the Atlantic region of Canada, although watching Newfoundland for just how close that eventually gets. Now, as we get down the road, of course, higher uncertainty. Forecasting the weather 3 to 4 days out is difficult, yet alone when we're talking 6, 7, 8 days out. But you get a feel driving across the North Atlantic, eventually losing its tropical characteristics by the time we get into the weekend. But this will be very much like a big tropical storm or subtropical storm as it approaches. Now, where does it go long term? Of course, to be determined. Here's Iceland, Ireland, Northern Ireland. Here's France, Portugal, Spain. I mentioned all of these areas because all are possibilities for this. The European model eventually wants to bring this a little bit to the north. The American model drives us a little bit closer toward the UK, potentially over toward France as we get down the road. But both of the major models are now slowing this area. It looks like this was going to come closer to the British Isles, say on Monday for the bank holiday. Now it may be even a little bit slower than that. That will allow the system to expand. I'll show you that in just a moment. Here's why it's turning. It's all about this area of high pressure. That's a blocker in the tropics. In this area, Hurricane Erin is spinning right around that area of high pressure, right around the blocker. And then the north side of this is what we'll be watching to see how it kind of turns. This is following the global trade wind pattern. Here's Africa across the Atlantic getting caught up in that up and around pattern across the Maritimes and the Atlantic region of Canada, and then eventually swinging across into the direction of Europe. Shorter term, you can see once it makes its spin to the north, here's the Atlantic region of Canada, watching over toward Newfoundland, over toward the Avalon Peninsula this weekend, late week and this weekend, in monitor mode. That means a heightened alert, spreading the word across this region for the potential that action mode would be possible. So we'll be watching as well, and I'll be able to fine tune as we get down the road if we need to go into monitor mode in some spots and then action mode for safety for a big wind maker that may be moving in. So here's the track. As we get closer to the end of the week, I'll be able to I'll know where this is going to go, and I'll know who needs to go into monitor mode and if not action mode down the road. But we still need to fine tune, of course, exactly what will happen. You can see the modeling on this, that area of high pressure I just mentioned. So Hurricane Erin rolling right around that and then eventually scooting off into the North Atlantic. Of course, this is 7 days from now, so after that, that's what we'll be watching. But as we get toward the middle and end of this week, I'll be able to fine-tune that for you. Now, the next couple of days, a powerful hurricane. This is 1 day out in time, 2 days out in time, 3 days, 4 days, up to about 7 days out in time. These are the computer models I just showed you, all keeping it hurricane strength. Of course, as it lifts up in latitude, it runs into the cooler water. There'll be some gradual weakening, but 7 days from now, we're still looking at this thing having tropical storm force winds in a very wide system. So let me give you a feel based on the American model. I mentioned the uncertainty as we get down the road, so I trust you realize that as we work our way out in time here, working our way into the upcoming weekend, transitioning into a subtropical system, so losing its tropical characteristics. Big broad system, watching the Azores here. Here's Iceland. You get over toward Ireland. Now, the European model wants to take this area a little bit more toward the north and east, while the American model kind of drives it either toward the British Isles or a little bit more toward the south and east. So that is to be determined based on the steering currents that I still need to kind of fine tune. I don't just watch the models, watching everything in the environment. This would be by Monday, and it's slower. Yesterday it was looking like this could be, say, pushing toward England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland or Ireland by Monday, but a little bit of a slower system that will weaken it some, but that also expands out the wind field. This is by Tuesday, and you can see some of those rain bands out ahead of it that may eventually start to clip us by. Now, this could be a good thing, parts of Portugal, Spain with fires with the heat, but we'll see if it gets that far south or if it works its way potentially into France. Same thing with some of the heat and some of the fires around in spots, but all of these possibilities are to be determined, and keeping in mind that the tropics as a whole very active, so this may be a pattern we see going forward. Take a look at the wind field with me. So we go back in time here. Again, this is by Thursday of this week, kilometers an hour and miles per hour on your screen. I know a lot of different units out there, just doing my best to keep us covered, all of us. And you can see as we go out in time here, the reds in here, those are the winds of about 110 kilometers an hour, about 70, pushing 75 miles per hour. The wind field really expands. This will be by this weekend. Then this weekend, we'll see how it kind of starts to work in. We lose some of the reds, but we have some sustained winds of about 50 miles per hour in this, or 80 kilometers an hour in a big area. So wherever this goes, be it more to the north, be it more to the east, be it more toward the southeast, it is going to be a big wind maker. Hopefully the winds die down some and it's just some good rain for some of us. That's what we'll be tracking as we go throughout the week ahead. But this is common. Remnants, we get about 2 to 5 of them. The leftovers of bigger hurricanes, 2 to 5 actually make landfall in parts of Western Europe each season. And this looks to be kind of an active pattern for that. So the numbers may be even higher as we go over the next few months. So this one is Erin. The next name on the list is Ferdinand, Gabrielle, Umberto, Imelda, Jerry, Karen, as we get down the list in the tropical Atlantic, which covers the Atlantic Ocean, the Gulf, and the Caribbean. So tracking the remnants of Hurricane Erin, of course, a powerful hurricane right now that I'm tracking on the other channel, but eventually turning into the remnants of that. We're going to track the strength of this, the track that is to be determined, but I did want to give you a feel in an early heads up because some of us may need to go into monitor mode and then eventually some action mode. So looking at early to mid next week, at least, we're going to see very high season. We've got a long way to go. Hurricane season ends November 30. So thank you for being with me on this weather community. I enjoy seeing your comments. I hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good weekend. Have a good working week ahead.